Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Lamont, and I am the host of Ladies, Get Your Prance On. And I am so happy because I have Lisa Fischer, who is in the house today, and I found out this little secret about her. So I'm going to start right off. She was once considered to be a contestant on the ABC show Wife Swap. And so, Lisa, welcome to the show today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so we got to get right down to the deal with the ABC Wife Swap. When did that happen, and why did you decide to put your scarf into the pot?
Yeah, actually, it was brought to my attention. It was really a year when ABC Wife Swap first came out, and it was kind of the rage at the time. And the producers were looking for a woman who was in the role of etiquette, image, that sort of thing, and wanted to pair with a family who didn't really give a flip about any sort of rules or, manners within the family. And I thought it'd be really interesting for my kids to experience. And so I presented it at the dinner table one night, and the kids just, their eyes got, this big, and they were horrified.
Really?
But it was super interesting because I thought, gosh, you guys could eat dinner in your room, just think of all the things you'd be able to do. But what we really decided was with reality television, how it can really miss the point and the heart and spirit. So decided that, I'd really rather perform in my role and my job and my passion one-on-one or one-to-many in a different type of a setting than give way to reality television.
Yeah, I just, I wanted to point out this last year, you launched your part of this book, and so for people to see the Beyond Dress. So so before we get into the book and what your role was in there, how did you come to be this fashion wardrobe stylist? How did that come to be? I'm always curious of people's backgrounds.
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm asked that often in terms of how I got into this industry. And my answer is this, out of complete desperation. At the time, I was 34 years old, and I couldn't even tell you how to set the table. Seriously. I was raised in a situation where I was raised by a single mom. I have no siblings. My father died when I was younger, and really in terms of how I was raised and the education that you're taught within the family unit, I think I really missed out on some of those fundamentals just due to the situation, really. And it seemed like the women in my life who raised me were aunts who had some extra time or neighbors who had some time, and we just did the best that we could. But then when I had my children, I just really came to realize that I don't have a lot of the skills that probably a lot of other moms do. And so I enrolled in a class for myself for personal and professional presence, that sort of thing. And I found myself just falling in love with the information in terms of social skills and behavior and appearance. And it wasn't this list of strong do's and don'ts and have to's and shoulds. It was about how do you want to show up in the world, and here's some ways to help you. And so it was really presented as tools versus have to's and shoulds. Fell in love with the information.
So you talk about growing up so as a an only child with a mom, so the single parent role, and so it wasn't an easy life for you. I mean, when people look at you now and they see this beautiful, polished woman, and that's why I'm so grateful that you're open about talking about your past, because so for you in high school, you weren't the fashion cheerleader, the fashion diva, because one would look at you and think, I mean, we make assumptions, right, when we see somebody. So what was growing up in school like for you?
Such a great question. And if my mom was right here, we'd be looking at each other and going, yep. I mean, my mom did the best she could in her situation. God bless her. I was essentially raised in Section 8 housing. Any clothes that I got were typically from the Piggly Wiggly, if you remember that store back then, or, secondhand. I remember for Christmas, my greatest gift was a pair of platform slippers, and I think that was my only gift that year, and I love those. And so I think really from being a small child, being a young girl in elementary school and junior high and high school, I think I just had a sense of I was grateful for what I did have, and I knew there were others around me who had abundance. But for some reason, I just was grateful, and I didn't really compare myself, although I knew it was out there. Okay. And so growing up in high school, I think it was when I saw others in school who were the leaders, who were part of ASB. I was ASB activities coordinator from my high school. I think it was really a sense of loving others and not comparing, no judgment. And that really got me through a lot, because Lisa, seriously, I was fired from my very first job, and it was due to excessive body odor. I didn't even know the difference between a deodorant and an antiperspirant. I mean, you're sitting there, you're looking at the shelf, they all look the same, so you just pick one and you think you're doing the right thing. And that's what I mean about the lack of knowledge. No one taught me that you should really have both of those to make it effective. And so I was fired from my first day on the job. So,
well, and I also want to share, because it's important that we let others know that we didn't come from the silver spoon. I grew up in a 3 kids. It was 5 with a 1 bathroom. Everything. I was a younger sibling, so I had all hand-me-downs. I mean, the school year I would get 2 outfits from Chafee's store in Everett. I get 2 outfits, and then we'd have to rotate. And when I got into high school, even though I was babysitting, I wanted a horse more than I wanted clothes. So I wore overalls all the time. And I'd have pigtails and overalls, and people would laugh at it, but soon they got to know that's who I was. And I got accepted because I didn't even care about fashion and fitting in until in 1980, I got a job at Frederick and Nelson, which was a department store that was, that's no longer in business, but it was like a Nordstrom's. And when I got the job, they told me I need to go shopping. And so I had 2 girlfriends that I thought were fashion, and they took me out and I went shopping, but I had no clue. I mean, till, I was in my early 20s, I didn't even care about fashion. And so it doesn't matter where we came from or what we're doing, but it's always good for others to know what our backgrounds are, that, that we did come from humble beginnings, and we're not ashamed of it. That's just part of our past. Our parents did the best that they could with us, and we're grateful for all of that. So, thank you so much for sharing. So now you're taking this course, you're learning about fashion and style. So how did you become who you are today?
So I've been in the image industry now for 16 years, and the first, dozen or so years were really focused on more social skills and behavior oriented, and so loved the information. And then the last 3 years have really been focused on personal wardrobe styling for women. And now I lead with the whole concept of being image strong, both in behavior and appearance. And
they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. Absolutely.
They really do. And I was just finding that, women were just asking the questions, Lisa, how do I overcome feeling frumpy? How do I overcome the frustration standing in front of my closet in the morning, getting ready? Because I look at everyone else and I think every woman has it together, but I don't seem to have a freaking clue. How do I get there? Yeah. And it seems like those are the 2 most common questions. And so, the program I really developed is Image Strong, and using 4 steps to, personal mastery to make it simple, because I think people get confused. They get on the internet, or they're reading books, or they're watching reality TV. And honestly, I think that's just more confusing than it is helpful. And so that's the beauty of working with one person who has your best interest at heart and is wanting you to be in alignment with who you are on the inside, and help you then bring that out to the outside. And to really know me is, I am not about looks. I am not about fashion. I couldn't really tell you probably what the top fashion things are right now. What I'm about is looking at the individual and being able to help them show up in the world how they're wanting to show up with their own authenticity and an alignment. And then with those 4 steps I was referring to, help them go on a journey to get that figured out. So their end goal is they feel confident and they have peace of mind.
Yeah. One of the things that I love too from getting to know you the last couple of years, and I just absolutely love and adore you, is that you also work with curvy women. You know, a lot of women think that, you know, the feedback is that to work with a wardrobe fashion stylist like yourself, you know, it's after they lose the 50 pounds or the 100 pounds. Like, when I lose the weight, then I'll reach out to Lisa and work with her. And you're not all about, that's all part of the journey. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. It's, you know, we want to feel confident today versus putting ourselves off, you know, a month, 2 months, a year down the road, right?
Yeah.
We want to feel confident every day. And I think when it comes to our body, and let's be real, you know, if we look at ourselves naked in the mirror, our eyes go immediately to all of our problem spots. And then to compound that, we then put our hands around those areas, and then we tend to jiggle them, and we look in the mirror, and we leave the mirror going, oh, you know, and we're pissed.
Yep.
And then we walk in our closet and we're like, what am I going to wear today? And so we start off with this, I'm displeased with my body or my shape. And then that leads into, I'm frustrated with what I'm wearing. And then that leads into, you know, I'm just showing up. And then there's kind of this vicious cycle.
Yep.
So for wherever a woman's at, wherever their shape is, right? Understanding what is that beautiful silhouette. Okay. And then I seriously do see every silhouette as beautiful. And then knowing how to accentuate the assets and then how to camouflage those concerns. Once we do those 2 things, and that's what I'm really good at, then getting dressed becomes joyful, and that peace of mind, that confidence starts building back up. I mean, Lisa, I've been in dressing rooms with clients, and they don't even want to share their sizes with me. It can be that painful. I get it. I honor that. And a number means nothing. And a number is simply a detail in terms of knowing racks and you know, where to pull from. But for some individuals, that number, it's emotional, and I get it because I've lived out of insecurity and emotion in my life as well. I understand it. We don't even have to talk numbers, but I can understand it to be able to identify with what are those pieces I need to pull, so that woman, as we're putting, you know, her wardrobe together, feels confident and beautiful, and we're accentuating her assets. Does that make sense?
And I also want to say, you don't see women as apples and pears. So explain how you see women and why.
Yeah, so working with Margaret Spencer with the dress system, Margaret is absolutely genius when she came up with the gem system. So for those of you who are getting to know the dress system, it's diamond, ruby, emerald, sapphire. And each of those gems represent a certain silhouette, a certain figure. And women love it. And they understand it, and be able to articulate back to a woman, you are a precious, and then assign them what their unique gem is. And then they're like, oh my God, you mean I'm not a pear?
So what is a pear in the gem? What do you call a pear in the gem?
Sure, a pear is a precious sapphire.
See, don't you love that? Think of
Right?
yourself as a sapphire, and what about an apple? What's
Yeah, apple is an emerald.
yeah.
And so there's diamond, which is the hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then ruby is where the oftentimes people will say that inverted triangle. That's the ruby. Emerald, which is fairly proportionate. It can be slightly, like you said, apple. That's the emerald from here to here. And then there's the sapphire, which you were maybe mentioning the pair, right? So wider across their widest curve is the lower part of the body. And so those are the association.
And I am a proud emerald there for those of you that are wondering, like, you know, they're all curious, right? But I love when I think of myself when I look in the mirror as an emerald, you know, and you know, I'm a big proponent of teaching mirror love to people and having them look into the mirror and doing the affirmations and overriding those body images of looking into the mirror and saying, Lisa, I love you. What good may I do for you today? And just say, you know what, Lisa, I embrace your beautiful emerald body today. You have a beautiful emerald body, and you're gonna dress it, and you're gonna shine today. So those are some examples of affirmations that women that are watching this can do to embrace their body images. Is just to start saying, you know, you are beautiful. You are perfect because God made us all beautiful. God made us perfect. It is the media that is out there telling us that we're less than. And you were also sharing with me before the show started, what is the average size of a woman today? Because I found that really interesting.
Yeah, the average size is a size 14.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. And, you know, so one of the things that I really challenge women to do is to put on blinders, is don't look to the left, to the right. Let's really consider who you are and stop comparing ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. But I get it. I truly do. But I think when we can just look at ourselves as, first of all, accept ourselves, right?
Yep.
And know we have assets and know we have areas that we may want to camouflage. So figuring out what are those 4 steps to visual mastery. And you know what? They're so simple. It's understand your shape, know your fashion style, your ultimate colors, and then lastly is what is the message for you for that day? Meaning, how do you want to show up in the world? And through visual language, through wardrobe language, you can communicate that when you walk out the door. And you're telling people by your visual presence how you want to be treated, what you value, and how you want to play the game that day, and just own it, right?
Well, what does the studies say that when people see you, like they've already like prejudged you the first 30 seconds or something like that, that, you know, you before you even open your mouth, they've already made a decision about you before you even talk.
Yes. It's in the 93% range right there. And of that, 55% of a first impression is typically 3 things. It's your wardrobe, your accessories, and your hygiene. So how you're groomed. Yeah. So that can include, you know, hairstyle, the condition of our appearance of our hair, right? Yeah. And then our makeup, if we choose to wear it or not. And then how much, how little. And the colors and the tones of our makeup, and our accessories, and then wardrobe. So those 3 things, huge communicator. And then body language makes up the other 38%. And then that 7% is what we actually have to say. So people across the room, you know, you want to talk about law of attraction. Yeah. When you walk into a room, you're already being acknowledged, and people are, you know, kind of deciding, is that someone I want to get to know or not? Do they feel like an approachable person, or, wow, you know, I don't know about that person. They're kind of intriguing, you know. And we can use wardrobe instead of this scary, like, oh, I can't do it. Looking at wardrobe as it's just a tool. It's a tool to help on what's on the inside be rock solid on the outside, and just use it as a tool and not have this emotional link to it.
One of the things, because I've had you on my show in the past, on my radio show, and you were talking about how women overuse black, and I confessed on the show that over half of my wardrobe is black jacket, black pants, black shirts that go underneath. I mean, I look like the Grim Reaper when I went out there because I'm trying to hide, right? You know, people won't see me and know who I am. I look dark and depressing. I mean, look at me now today. I've got, you know, light colors on. Normally I wouldn't have done that. And I still wear dark colors, but I'm more conscious of it. I'll make sure I have a bright color underneath if I do wear, you know, darker colors on that. So I learned that from you. So people that are watching this aren't necessarily, you're from Washington State. I forgot to add that you're from Washington State. But you work with women globally. So will you explain what that means for people watching that would like to maybe perhaps work with you?
Sure. The mission statement that is so dear to my heart for this year, 2016, and going into 2017 and beyond, is that I really do. I want to help women globally to feel confident about their appearance and to be able to have a safe place to go for wardrobe inspiration, tips, resources, and support. And so this whole digital platform through digital platforms such as we're using today with Zoom, and to be able to connect online is definitely part of my services, and super excited to have that launched and ready to go.
Yeah. Well, if you think about technology, like, you know, doing Zoom on the phone, for example,
Yeah.
you can go right into their closet and pull out. I mean, they
Yeah.
can really, or take pictures and stuff and scan, and so you're able to work with that and do that. So I just think that's so cool. You also you have an upcoming event coming up. Can you also share with that?
Sure. For those who are local here in the greater Seattle area, on Friday, December 2nd, in Issaquah at La Boutique Jolie, at I believe 6 o'clock that night, we're having a style and shop event. And this is the boutique that carries a variety of items, variety of sizes. I believe that they go, some of their sizing is upwards of 2X. Down to petite and everything in between.
Yeah.
And they have jewelry, accessories, purses, shoes, and we'll be doing some mixing and matching and talking about color and color trends for fall and winter. So looking forward to that. And how people can register, they can go directly to La Boutique Jolie. They'll have a newsletter. People can register through there, or you can simply jump on my Lisa Fischer Styling Facebook page. Yeah. And be able to connect there.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I attach the link to the show so people will be able to find you. What else would you like women to know? Because we're going into the holiday season. Yeah. Are there certain colors for the fall winter that are changed from last year?
Sure. Well, you did mention black, right? And black is such a gorgeous color, and it's dramatic, it's rich, and it's a phenomenal color. It really is. So black is definitely, on the trend list for fall and winter. I think the idea when you're thinking of colors is this: does this color enhance who I am and bring harmony to your natural coloring, so your skin, hair, and eyes? Yeah. Or is the color stealing and it's showing up first place? So in other words, it's leading versus complementing, if that makes sense. Yeah. So some of the colors that are on trend this year is there's 3 categories that we saw come off of Fashion Week. And that is, the first one is blues. The blue hues are definitely leading. So are the neutral warms. And then thirdly, vibrant shades we saw come out of Fashion Week. So let's talk about this super briefly. So the blues, you see a lot of the denim colors are out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gorgeous denims, all the way to the lighter blues, which is almost that they're calling it shark gray, if you can imagine that. So kind of that range of blue. And then for the taupes and the rich neutrals, this is the time to shop. So if you're someone that is of that skin tone where neutrals, you're lighter in contrast, so those neutrals are your friend, wow, fall and winter are the time to shop for sure. Mm-hmm. And then those vibrant colors, so there's the purples and the magentas that are out there that are great. And those are really awesome for those who look best in more of those cool temperatures. And then of course we're seeing our meadow greens, our mustard yellows, and our clay pottery oranges.
Yep.
So freaking beautiful and rich, and would look great on even someone with your tones, Lisa, with the copper, copper highlights in the hair and warm tone.
Yep.
I mean, it looks really
those are the colors that look best. Those mustard, those terracotta, those warmer colors are definitely something that I work with. One more thing that I wanted to ask you, I'm seeing a lot of I go to a lot of networking events, and a lot of people are networking that watch the show. What is the rule for wearing denim, like denim leggings or denim jeans to go out networking, as long as you have something polished on the top? Is that okay? And what are the rules for that? Like with boots, is there any rules for that for women that are out networking?
Yeah, I think it's know your audience. So who are you networking with, and what is your end goal from going to that networking event? Okay. Yeah. And then showing up, being authentic to who you are, number one, inside out. So knowing your fashion style. And even with denim, there is a style around what jean to be worn to articulate who you are. Yes. So for example, a classic fashion style would wear definitely a dark denim, straight leg, might even have a crease down the middle, and have a really great looking heel with a blouse and maybe a leather jacket and a scarf. That could be a real simple, streamlined, look. And maybe someone who is more romantic oriented fashion style might show up maybe something flowy with denim jeggings and a boot, and maybe that same leather coat over it, and then accessorized. So it really depends on what is your fashion style and how you show up wearing denim. But I definitely think, to answer your question, denim is appropriate. The darker, the better in terms of professionalism.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, because I'm seeing that more this past year, that it's being more accepted, and more people are showing up to, even, other chamber events and women's networking. It's okay, but it is polished. I mean, they're not t-shirt and jeans and tennis shoes, they're dressed up. So I appreciate it. Lisa, I love having you on the show today.
Oh my gosh.
Your schedule's just been so crazy busy. I love that I had you on the show, and I definitely, in the spring, I'd love to have you back to talk about the spring fashions, if you wouldn't mind. Look, everyone, I'm getting her committed to come back in the spring. So it's just been delightful, Lisa. And people can find you on Facebook. I'll have your link to your website. Lisa, is it Lisa Fischer Styling?
Yes, it's lisafischerstyling.com, and on the first page, you can definitely opt in to my list so I can keep in touch with you. I'm giving tons of content and tips on a weekly basis, so excited to share that. Absolutely.
Well, I've learned so much for you, and we'll also share the link to the book that Lisa is featured in, and Margaret Spencer is the person who created this awesome package, and I love my book. I go by it. So everybody, thank you. We will be back next Monday with another fantastic guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Lace. Bye.